Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 233.
On Now You Know. 233 episodes. We've been there for you every week. So if you want to be there for us, head on over to patreon.com/nowyouknow and support us for as little as $1 a month.
And we're sponsored by BigBattery.com with the best battery prices in the USA guaranteed. If you've got something you need to power from homes to cars, RVs to boats, and much more, BigBattery.com has you covered. Offering the newest battery tech. Use the code NOWYOUKNOW to save 5% off your purchase today at BigBattery.com.
So Jesse, how do you like to learn something new?
I like long, boring lectures and chapters of assigned reading and stressful graded tests.
Right. I hate that too. My brain does not like to learn that way.
Brilliant is a website and app that makes learning accessible and fun.
Brilliant's approach is based on problem solving and active learning.
I've been taking Brilliant's course on cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I like Brilliant's courses because they're laid out like a story and broken down into little pieces so that you can tackle them a little bit at a time.
Yeah, this course starts by going through the history of currency, which is amazing because now I have a background on what I'm actually learning about. And each section involves problem solving to keep my interest and keep my mind active.
Yeah, research shows that problem solving is more effective than watching lectures.
Yeah, there's no long, messy formulas to memorize, no endless facts. There are no tests and grades to worry about. I just pick a course I'm interested in, and I get started in learning.
Join Jesse and I in a community of 8 million learners and educators today.
To support our channel and learn more about Brilliant.org, go to Brilliant.org/nowyouknow and sign up for free.
Also, the first 200 people that go to that link will get 20% off the annual premium subscription. All right, so Tesla released this video on Twitter of the Model S Plaid doing winter testing. And if you look really closely, you can see what appears to be a round steering wheel.
So what? Round steering wheels? That's normal.
It's supposed to have a yoke.
Oh, right, the yoke. Also, many of you have probably seen this photo by now of a Model S refresh also with a round steering wheel.
And what's up with that upside down cup?
It's actually protecting the emergency kill button and the CAN bus port. All test mule vehicles have these retrofitted during the final phase of production.
Oh, so it's not just someone left their coffee cup on the...
Right, that's to cover an ugly looking part of the thing that they don't want you to think about, which is fine because it's a test mule.
Now, you might be asking, what about the Tesla website?
Well, as of taping today, it shows the Plaid Model S with the yoke.
But some sleuths have uncovered this photo of a round steering wheel on Tesla's website buried in the code. Now, according to Electrek, a local service center said that the round steering wheel will be an option. So I guess that means you'll have the option of the yoke or the steering wheel.
I think that this was a pretty smart strategy by Tesla. You put the yoke out there, everyone wants to talk about it, and then when people go, but I don't know if I want the yoke steering wheel, then you come back out with the round steering wheel and you say, don't worry, if you want the round steering wheel, you can get that too. We did a poll a couple weeks ago asking about the yoke. A lot of people liked it, some people hated it, and some people said that they're definitely gonna have, like, they didn't think that they were gonna have to get the yoke. They thought that there was gonna be an option.
Gotcha. Well, they were right, I guess.
Maybe. We'll see.
So everyone has been talking about this story for the past week. The governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, has blamed renewable energy for causing the blackouts that spread across Texas last week as Texas got hit with extremely cold temperatures, leaving over 4 million Texans without power.
But we did some digging, and the facts tell a different story.
Yeah, Texas has been advised since the last big cold snap in 2011 to prepare its grid for extreme cold like this. And in fact, they chose not to connect to many of their neighboring states so they wouldn't have to go through federal regulations that would have required hardening their grid.
Now, wind makes up 23% of Texas's electric grid, and solar makes up 2%.
Natural gas, it turns out, was the true culprit in this cold weather blast because the natural gas pipelines are not insulated, and so the lines froze in many stretches and couldn't be pumped to the natural gas power plants that make up 46% of the state's electrical power grid.
So, 30% of Texas's generating capacity went offline. And whose fault is that?
Fossil fuels' fault. Just look at this chart from the SEIA. You can see there that only 1% of renewable energy dropped, but 25% of natural gas energy dropped. And just to be clear, Texas's grid operator, Electric Reliability Council of Texas, or ERCOT, also said that frozen wind turbines were, quote, the least significant factor in the blackout.
Yeah, it turns out most of Texas's solar and wind stayed online during this power outage and was actually quite reliable.
Now, I was amazed to find out that 60% of Texas homes have electric heat, and it was all those electric heaters turning on at once that caused ERCOT to institute rolling blackouts to get a handle on the increased demand and the lowered output of power plants.
You might be asking why any of Texas's wind turbines failed at all. I mean, aren't there wind turbines operating year-round in the North Sea, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Canada, for example?
Well, it turns out many of Texas's wind turbines aren't outfitted with cold weather packages. Just like you can get some Tesla models with a cold weather package, like heated seats and heated steering wheels, wind turbines can be equipped with a number of precautions, like heaters, to warm up turbine components and lubricants.
Oh, and by the way, when you're looking for one more tidbit, one more little morsel you can pull out when you're telling your friends who are like, see, renewables don't cut the mustard. Well, you can tell them about this.
All right, so what's this chart?
It's Texas's daily pollution reports. You see, during the cold snap, there's been a huge increase in the number of reports of air pollution because fossil fuels don't do well in frigid temperatures. Even in a normal year, fossil fuels cause a lot of pollution. One analyst found that in 2015, 5,000 excess deaths were caused by air pollution just in Houston, Texas.
But in frigid temps, well, I think Sharon Wilson, a Texas-based senior field advocate at Earthworks, explained it well. Everything with oil and gas starts with a hole in the ground. That hole in the ground does not know the compressor station is frozen, so it keeps pumping gas. Somewhere along the line, a pipe is frozen, so everything gets released into the air. And it does not stop getting released into the air, it just keeps going. If the industry had winterized their equipment, this wouldn't be happening.
Oh, and by the way, in Texas, they don't count methane in their pollution reports. Helpful.
Nice. By the way, Texans, ERCOT is a nonprofit controlled by the Texas legislature. So you actually are in control of your grid. Unlike a lot of places where it's kind of private enterprise, you can call up your representatives in Texas and say, hey, I don't like how it was handled. Let's do something different next time.
Right. Let's winterize our grid. Let's make sure that this never happens again. Because here in Massachusetts, it snowed a lot. And the power didn't shut off at any point. And we have way colder temperatures and we have much more snow. That's not a brag. I understand that Texas is usually warmer than this, but why aren't you prepared? Why is the infrastructure not in place?
Yeah, even if it's only every 10 years, that's still way too often.
Especially when we consider the human and economic cost of something like this, where you have an entire giant state which shuts down for weeks at a time.
Yeah. But now, if you had some home batteries, like Tesla owners Austin tweeted out, Tesla Powerwall nighttime action in Houston, Texas looks amazing. That would be pretty nice, because just look at that dark neighborhood. Or Houston resident Robert Soldat had solar on his roof and a battery system which provided over 45 hours of backup power during multiple days of rolling blackouts. He said, I honestly can't imagine how unpleasant this would have been without my battery.
And again, this is a failure of supply of the grid. And it's amazing that his battery was able to back up his house. Also, if, trees were cutting power lines, which happens up here in the north very often, the same thing applies with your home battery pack.
What's cool is when the power does come back on for a few hours, your batteries charge up real fast and you're ready for the next power outage, which, as you can see here from this app, is what happened to him. Just blackout after blackout after blackout. Now, if you want to have batteries installed at your house, but you don't know how to do it and you have questions, contact our friends at EnergyPal. They're the experts not only in solar, but in batteries.
If you have questions, they have answers. Click the link in the description down below and let them know that Zach and Jesse sent you. But there's another way to get through a power outage.
Yeah, Randy Jones of Katy, Texas, bought a 2021 Ford F-150 hybrid pickup truck.
During the recent cold spell in Texas, he was able to use the hybrid's onboard generator to produce up to 7.2 kilowatts.
Jones said he powered appliances in his home for 3 days until the power came back on. He said, without it, I would have been in the dark and cold like everybody else in the neighborhood.
Jones also helped neighbors charge their phones and laptops. He said, quite a few of the neighbors said, hey, I'm getting one. Like, I'm trading in my Dodge or GMC because South Texas, with hurricanes and things like that, we're always having power outages.
And Jerry Hall, 73, of Caraville, Texas, also bought a F-150 at the end of January, and he said the main reason he bought it was for the generator. He said the truck saved the day. It would have been 3 miserable days without the truck.
Now, we had talked about this exact thing, except that I didn't know that it existed. We had said like, oh, the Cybertruck is going to be so cool because you're going to be able to plug stuff in. You're going to be able to back up your house. Why doesn't Ford do this? Why can't Ford make a car with a generator? And we were like, duh, 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 why doesn't Ford do that? They have this. But I'm going to say it's not my fault because I haven't been advertised to. Yeah. Here is the ad for Ford.
Oh, you're going to give them an ad?
I mean, good for Ford for having a useful feature in their truck. Here's the commercial, right? It's dark, it's snowy, the guy's driving, you know, the headlights are bright, but everything else is dark and you don't know what's going on. He's got to drive over like a tree limb, downed tree limb or something like that. And he gets home, he plugs the truck in, and then the house lights turn on, and he, you know, comes in with the milk and the eggs, and he opens the door and it's bright, and you know, his daughter goes like, "Daddy!" And he's home, and then it's like, when the going gets tough, it's nice to have a Ford to come home to. Boom, Ford. I mean, Ford, if you want to use that, just give me, you know, $500,000.
So you don't think Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford's tweet here, was as good as your ad, huh?
I'm just saying, throw some money at it. Just, you know, capitalize off of this. Yeah. This is what you do all the time. You capitalize off of our fears and our anxieties. This is a valid one, and you actually have a solution for it. Just say, and then, you know, explain what it is. Like the hybrid Ford F-150 has a 7 kilowatt generator to back you up no matter where you are. Ford. Great.
Wow.
And I mean, I don't even know why I'm so excited about this, because it's a gas-powered generator. It's not efficient. It's not clean. But in situations like this, you just need the power. You just need something. And the sad part is to me that only the hybrids have this because they're built like that. But all trucks have alternators.
I think that this shows how many people are going to switch to the Cybertruck or the Rivian or whatever, you know, the Ford F-150 electric when it comes out and can do this, because look at how many people would love this feature.
Exactly.
And if you want to tell your friends and family about what you just learned, head on over to the Now You Know Clips channel, where we chop these up into bite-sized clips that you can share with your friends. So Tesla's been playing around with the Model 3 and the Model Y pricing again.
Some versions went down, some versions went up, and some stayed the same. So let's get into it.
All right, so the Model 3 Standard Range Plus was $37,990. Now it's $36,990, price drop of $1,000.
That's awesome. The Model 3 Long Range All-Wheel Drive was $46,990. It's now $45,990, another drop of $1,000.
And the Model 3 Performance was $54,990. Now it's up to $55,990, an increase of $1,000. And by the way, why is midnight silver so rare to see on Model 3s? I just put this up there so you could see that it is an option, but like I hardly ever see them. Do you see them in your neck of the woods? Like, comment down below if you see them, because I don't.
It's the Model X color.
It's the Model X color?
It's the color for the Model X.
I know, but you can get it on the Model 3.
Yeah, the Model 3 looks so good in black, white, and red. I don't know.
All right, well, let's go over to the Model Y.
Yep.
The Model Y Standard Range was $41,990. Now it's $39,990, a price drop of $2,000.
No. There is no Standard Range Model Y.
Yeah, there is. I just looked it up 2 days ago.
Have you looked today?
No.
Yeah, there's no Standard Range.
Where'd it go?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Standard Range.
These are not the Model Ys you're looking for.
Oh.
Yeah. So they had the Model Y Standard Range on the site with a $2,000 price drop down to $39,990, and now it is gone.
Wait, well, I know that Elon never wanted it because he said he would never offer it with this low of range, but right. It did appear. We're not crazy. We reported on it. Yeah. It was a thing.
It existed, and then they dropped the price, and then it disappeared like a day later.
Why would they bother lowering the price if they're going to delete it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Why would they delete it? I mean, it's a great offering for people who don't need all the range.
I don't know. I think it was maybe a little disagreement over a Tesla. Some people were like, wait, we have that? Get rid of that. I don't know.
Weird.
I don't know. It's weird.
Do you think it'll come back?
I don't know.
I hope it does, because I think getting in a sub $40,000 SUV is a really good thing for Tesla.
But let's talk about the Teslas that do exist now.
All right, well, I guess there's 2 left. The Model Y Long Range was $49,990, and it is now $48,990, a price drop of $1,000.
And the Model Y Performance was $59,990, and it is now $60,990, an increase of $1,000. So the performances went up, everything else went down,
and something disappeared.
So just you gotta keep up to date. If you're thinking about buying a Tesla, you gotta keep up there.
Just order it.
Hey, and before we continue, please hit the like button down below. It really helps the algorithm of the show. And I know I don't want to be talking about the algorithm either, but it'll help more people see this show. And we want as many people as possible to be informed about Tesla and sustainability going forward. So just hit the like button. It'll make a big difference in the long run.
You've got the power. So it's been a while. But the Chevy Bolt has finally gotten a refresh since it came out 4 years ago. So GM went with another Disney-themed release party like they did with the 1990 Chevy Lumina. Remember that? What a dumb-looking car, by the way.
Which?
The Chevy Lumina.
It was the 90s.
It was the 90s for sure. So after 100,000 Bolt units were sold, the refresh includes a facelift to the front and some interior changes, including a new infotainment system, a redesigned center console, and no more fake stick shift.
It'll get comfier seats, but it's got pretty much the same battery.
Yeah, although it's 1 kilowatt hour less than the old pack.
I guess so. It's kind of stupid. Anyway, the new Bolts have 11 kilowatts of onboard charging, up from the original 7.7. So now they can charge at home about 3 hours faster if you have a 11 kilowatt charger at your house.
But the DC fast charging speed is the same. They didn't update that.
What? No. You can't. Possibly. No. It was 50 kilowatts, wasn't it?
I believe so.
That's not fast enough, in my opinion.
Let's just worry about the home charging. They didn't update the powertrain, so they can't take more power, dude.
Okay. All right. Okay. What about this price?
The price is $31,995. Now, it no longer qualifies for the $7,500 federal tax credit because they've sold too many. But if Congress passes the new Green Act, it would qualify for the $7,000 federal tax credit. So let's hope that happens because then we'd be talking a $25,000 Bolt. Now, we knew it was coming, but Chevy also unveiled their new EUV, electric utility vehicle. Get it? It's a small SUV built on the Bolt powertrain.
But I mean, isn't the Bolt a small SUV? Is it a hatchback? It's kind of
right
in the middle. Okay.
The EUV is 6 inches longer, 3 inches wider wheelbase. And the weird part, though, is that the EUV has half an inch less cargo space.
But you just said it was bigger.
I think they must have given the second row seat more legroom and lost the cargo space.
Fair enough.
So same battery pack, now with 250 miles of range. So less range than the Bolt because it's obviously a bigger, heavier car. Same motor, same battery, same power, same wheels and tires. Now the price is $2,000 more, $33,995. But you will get a level 2 home charger included in the cost. GM has partnered with Q-Merit, and so they'll set you up with a home charger, which for a lot of people solves kind of their charging problem.
Does this include installation?
That's what they say. I haven't read all the fine print, but it does say installation. So,
well, I mean, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good because that's, I'm assuming it has to be a very simple installation. Like we've already got the panel ready and stuff, but who knows?
Maybe. I mean, yeah, because in some situations
that could involve a lot of work.
It could be a lot.
I would love to hear from owners who do this and find out, what they cover and what they don't.
Yeah.
And now the EUV will have Super Cruise as an option. It's their first electric vehicle with Super Cruise.
And so basically that's speed and lane keeping.
A lot like Tesla's first version of Autopilot. And these will be available in early summer.
So, I mean, that's pretty exciting. So it's good to have another option. The 50 kilowatt DC charging speed, though, is the big killer for me. I mean, great for a commuting car back and forth to work. And, if you do need to do some charging, the 50 kilowatts will get you there. It just won't be that convenient as opposed to 100, 150 kilowatts.
I just want to say, if you're thinking about buying a Bolt, rent a Tesla for 2 weeks. I don't think you'll be able to go back to a Bolt after you actually experience what you can do in a Tesla versus what you'll be able to do in a Bolt.
And it's mostly supercharging. I mean, I'm not.
It's mostly for those small percentage of times where you need to do odd things. On those days, you'll be glad you're not stuck with 50 kilowatts of DC fast charging.
It's a bummer because it's the one thing that if they changed, the Bolt would become a direct competitor to the Model 3, in my opinion.
Yep. All right, so Aptera Motors announced last week that they have closed a $4 million private Series A round of funding.
Aptera also announced that they now have 7,000 pre-orders for the Paradigm all-electric EV in just over 2 months, which totals $250 million in orders.
In fact, you can use our referral code down below if you want to get some money off your deposit for your pre-order for your Aptera. And Aptera has moved into their new 60,000 square foot facility in Sorrento Valley, San Diego, where they plan to continue the development of the Paradigm.
We recently had the co-CEOs of Aptera as our guests on the Now You Know Investor Club, and it was nice because all of our Investor Club members got to ask them questions directly.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking forward to the crowdfunding round, which should be coming up, I think, in March. So VW has been on a tear lately, outselling Tesla in Europe. It's just amazing, you know? I think a lot of people, including me, didn't think that VW would be able to do it. I mean, I think I kind of...
Hold on. According to Greenpeace, 24% of those sales in Europe were simply to Volkswagen dealers, not to customers.
Well, maybe it's because the dealers like them so much, they bought them for themselves.
No. Just like in the U.S., the manufacturer sells cars to the dealer to get them off the books. They're for sale. So about 13,560 ID3s are sitting on dealer lots around Europe, being declared sold while also being for sale.
Okay, so it's some kind of accounting glitch. I mean, who cares, though? I mean, most EVs sold in Europe is just bragging rights.
Well, no. See, Europe has emission standards, and the average emissions of your fleet, which is sold cars, is what determines if you get a big, hefty fine from the EU or not.
Oh, and that's why companies like Honda and Fiat Chrysler... Stellantis paid hundreds of millions of dollars to pool their emissions with Tesla.
Exactly. It's all to save money from EU emissions fines. And this is exactly why Volkswagen made the ID3 in the first place. Now, they did this tricky bit of accounting to avoid paying fines for 2020. And it's lame that they didn't actually sell many of these cars to actual customers, which means that those cars aren't on the roads, offsetting the cars that would have been bought and not polluting and contributing to emissions. So that's wicked lame. But you could definitely argue that eventually these cars will be sold. And so for all the hemming and hawing that I'm going to do about VW essentially bypassing the law this year by not actually selling these cars to consumers, they are on dealers' lots. And even though the dealers aren't that keen on selling them, they are going to get sold. Basically, the law worked. It's incentivizing these car companies, or actually threat of punishment, these car companies to produce these EVs, which people can buy. And the ID3 is a fairly decent car that people can get their hands on. In fact, all this gymnastics that VW did proves that the law works.
Yeah, I mean, if we had strict emissions laws here in the US, the same thing would be happening. We'd be forcing car manufacturers to do the right thing.
And if you don't believe what I'm saying, take a look at this graph.
Okay, what does this show?
This shows EV adoption by region.
Okay, so 2010 through 2020.
Yep. And the dark blue is the United States.
Wait. The dark blue is that's it? That's all we got?
Yeah. So
that's all we got?
Yeah. And you can see how China has adopted EVs very quickly.
Wait, so China's the light blue?
China's the light blue. Very quick adoption in terms of percentage of sales. Of course, not all of those are like long-range, super useful EVs. A lot of them are glorified golf carts, but that's beside the point. Take a look at Europe.
Wait, so Europe is light green, and we were almost the same size car market as Europe in like 2016. Now, look they dwarf us.
Why do you think that happened?
The law.
It's all about the law.
Wow.
It's not like Europeans want EVs more than people in the United States.
Well, maybe they do.
Maybe they do, but it's only because of the law that they offer the ID3 in only Europe and not the United States.
Wow.
So this is where we need to push our lawmakers to pass regulations on emissions. And the great part about emissions is that includes CO2. It also includes pollution that gets into your brain and kills people.
Yeah.
And you might be saying, well, my lawmaker isn't going to listen to me. Vote them out. That's how the system works. And if you go, well, who am I going to vote in? How about you?
Yeah.
Why don't you run for office? Because if you're watching this channel, there's a good chance that you know all of this stuff, and you'd be a pretty effective lawmaker. And you might be saying, well, there's no elections for a while. Perfect. You need time to build your supporter base and file all the paperwork and stuff like that. Give someone else an option to vote for you.
That's right. All right, so the headline for this story sounds good when you first hear it. Ford to invest $1 billion in German EV factory.
You say, ooh, great. Ford is actually moving towards electrification in Europe with their biggest investment in over a generation.
But hang on. What will Ford be making in this Cologne electrification center? And by the way, if you read the Wikipedia page for this factory, which I'll put the link down for below, you will probably never want to buy a Ford.
But anyway, what will Ford be making?
EVs built on VW's MEB platform.
Wait, what? Why would Ford build cars on some other company's platform?
Because Ford hasn't developed their own cost-efficient electric drivetrain.
That's not true. What about the Mach-E?
What about it? I said cost-efficient. My guess is that they're going to lose money on every Mach-E sold.
Okay. Well, when will these new EVs be rolling out of the retooled Cologne Electrification Center?
Not until 2023, when Ford delivers its first European-built volume all-electric passenger vehicle. So take a close look at this chart here.
Wow. That looks awesome. I love lines that go up. That's great.
Yes, and I'm sure that's why they made the chart, was to please you. But
Yeah.
I want you to look very closely at that yellow line.
Yep, it's going up. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Except, let's read what it says. It says, Ford to use 600,000 MEB platforms and associated components.
Why you gotta read stuff? Just look at the line. The line goes up, therefore good.
Okay, but that's the only Ford portion of the graph, is that little thin yellow line. And
Wait a minute. It's not a line.
it's
It's an actual geometrical thing.
right. It's a little blanket that's sitting on the top of VW sales.
So it's this little, and it's just 600,000. Why are they using a line chart? Shouldn't they be doing a bar chart if we're looking at years?
I think they wanted to do what you just did. They fooled you into thinking it's a big upswinging curve.
It's just it's actually, if you graphed it would just be a flat line of
Right.
600,000 cars a year, and it would be a bar graph because you don't. Okay,
And I want to be clear here. Who's making those platforms? It said Ford to use 600,000 MEB platforms. Now, maybe Ford's going to make them. I don't know if they're going to license them or just buy them from VW, but why aren't they growing that number? Why is it 600,000 from 2023 till 2028?
goes right back to the law.
Yeah, let's read very carefully Ford's plans that they announced. Ford committed today that by mid-2026, 100% of Ford's passenger vehicle range in Europe will be zero emissions capable, all electric or plug-in hybrid, and will be completely all electric by 2030. So let me just skip ahead to the rewritten in English version. Ford now aims to have all electric and plug-in hybrid options throughout its entire lineup by mid-2026 and sell only electric passenger vehicles in Europe by 2030. So let's just go back to that first thing they said there, zero emission capable, or ZEEC.
Yeah, we haven't heard of this term that often before. Let's talk about what it is. Here's basically what it means. To meet the zero emissions capable credit, you must emit no more than 50 grams per kilometer of CO2 and be capable of operating with zero emission exhaust for a minimum range of 10 miles. Or here's the other option, emit no more than 75 grams per kilometer of CO2 exhaust emissions and be capable of being operated with zero emissions for a minimum range of 20 miles or 32 kilometers.
Right.
So this is essentially a limp mode that no one is going to ever turn on, plug in their car, or do anything because it is a useless range.
Well,
10 miles of electric range.
This is the C-Max. I mean,
is it?
I think that's about all you could get out of it. It's not even like Volt range here we're talking about. At least the Volt can give you 40 or 50 miles.
It's not a practical thing, so no one's going to use it. No one's going to plug in their car and charge that battery. So therefore, you're not going to ever, hit the button to do the zero emission, because any battery that has 10 miles of range can't give you the power that you need to accelerate at the speeds that you're used to.
But
it's like putting your car in a limp mode.
But what does a tiny battery give you?
A cheap and easy way to produce a lot of them.
Yes.
And to just kind of limbo your way right under the law.
Yes. And that's what Ford's doing here. So when everyone says, oh, great, $1 billion, they're really showing their commitment, this is the exact opposite. They massage this story.
Who wants a body massage?
So that you would think they're doing the right thing. They're doing the exact opposite.
Because zero emissions capable sounds great. Oh, it's capable of doing zero emissions.
You could just push your car.
Miles.
You could just push your car down the street if you want. That would be better.
Go get 2 drills, battery electric drills, and just. That's essentially all they're giving you.
Yeah. Tesla Time News is sponsored by Cybertruck Owners Club. There you'll find a crowdsourced reservation tracker that you can update and find your place in line.
Check out their website for Cybertruck news, discussions, and community for Cybertruck enthusiasts and future owners. And they have a 3D configurator allowing you to visualize the Cybertruck in any color, wrap, and logo, both on screen and in augmented reality.
So, for years we've been hearing about all these Tesla killers that were going to come and knock Tesla off its throne. One of them was the Mercedes EQC all-electric SUV coming first in 2020. That magical year. Well, then Mercedes pushed it off to 2021.
And that's this year.
Yep, well, now Mercedes has said, quote, following a comprehensive review of market developments, the EQC will not be offered in the United States for now.
Comprehensive review? What did that look like?
I think it looked a lot like this. Franz, what did you find with the comprehensive report on the American SUV electric market?
Well, Dieter, we discovered that there's another SUV that is a little bit better than the Mercedes EQC.
Better? How's it better? In what categories? How about range?
Well, our EQC has about 200 miles of range. The SUV has a lot more.
Well, how about power and quickness?
Well, our EQC has a 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds. Theirs is a bit quicker with 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds.
How about charging?
Well, our EQC has a max charge rate of 110 kilowatts. Theirs charges at 250 kilowatts.
Well, how about price?
The EQC starts at $69,000 and theirs starts at under $40,000.
What are we going to do?
Well, what if we just don't sell it?
Oh, good idea.
Yeah, let's go to brunch.
Good.
For all that gloss.
We wasted so much time on this show talking about the damn car that's coming. Oh, it's coming. Oh, they delay, but it's coming.
And then
that's not coming.
Never mind.
You know why it's not coming? Because that's exactly it. In every category I checked out. I mean, unless you just have to have a Mercedes, why would you buy it? It costs so much more than a Model Y.
Right, and Mercedes agrees with us because they aren't going to sell it. They realize what an embarrassment it would be if they put it on the market.
But I mean, for years, the press said that, Mercedes is going to come out with this awesome car and it's going to just kill Tesla. It's so far from killing Tesla, it's not even in the same league. I mean, I think we should flip this. Why isn't the media covering this as the Mercedes killer?
Right. This is a victory for Tesla over Mercedes. Well, it's more of a whimpering loss for Mercedes. But yeah, it doesn't get any big press coverage. And if you didn't know this key piece of information that, it's not coming to the United States, you wouldn't have any idea if you looked at any of this marketing, jargon of like the EQC is going to be awesome. They kept up all their old videos saying about like, you're going to be able to drive it. And you're like, awesome, I'm going to be able to drive it. No, you won't.
Right.
It's pathetic.
Last week, Hyundai announced that it will be recalling all 3 electric vehicles that it sells in South Korea.
It only sold 3 cars in South Korea?
Sorry, I meant 3 models. 21,000 Konas, 32,000 Ioniqs, and 236 of Hyundai's electric city buses will be recalled because of battery fires.
There have been at least 15 car fires in Korea caused by batteries. Some are saying that these fires are caused by a faulty battery separator, although LG Chem denies that.
The batteries, which were made by LG Chem, will be replaced, and at this time, it's not clear whether the new batteries will be made by LG Chem or by SK Innovation.
So, hang on. How much is this going to cost to replace over 50,000 batteries?
Yeah, it's estimated to cost Hyundai over $1.8 billion just for the Korea battery recall alone. Keep in mind, there's about 77,000 Konas in the U.S., and if those need to be replaced, that would be about $550 million more.
So is LG Chem going to bear some of this cost or all the cost?
There's differing reports in the media right now. I'm sure there's some ongoing negotiations between LG Chem and Hyundai. It's not known yet, but we do know that LG Chem had $11.7 billion in revenues from EV battery sales last year. So, I mean, this would be quite a big hit because this is probably going to be over $2 billion.
Wow. And it's all about the design and manufacturing the battery. If you don't do it right, it comes back to bite you.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing with engines, too.
Sure.
But you can't
rush it.
No.
And speaking of SK Innovation, don't get too excited that they'll be the company chosen to replace batteries in Hyundai vehicles if the battery recall gets extended to the U.S. And by the way, how couldn't it? I mean, if it's the same car.
Right. So wait, why would SK Innovation not be the company chosen?
Well, because the International Trade Commission just announced the ruling from their 20-month investigation of SK.
What were they investigating for?
Stealing trade secrets from LG Chem. It turns out, according to the ITC, SK Innovation stole trade secrets from LG Chem, and the ITC has ruled that SK Innovation cannot sell their batteries in the United States for 10 years.
10 years? 10 years?
That's what they ruled.
Whoa. What? Okay, so wait, what is the ITC anyway?
It's an agency of the federal government established in 1916. It has 6 commissioners serving 9-year terms, and it's charged with, among other things, import injury investigations and intellectual property-based import investigations. So basically, they did an investigation, found out that SK Innovation stole stuff from LG Chem. Yeah, I don't know exactly why they care so much. I don't know.
I mean, I wish they cared more about, like emissions fraud and stuff like this. Like, I love how Dieselgate happens and they get hit with like
slap.
a little, don't do that again. But then you steal some trade secrets, which is also bad. And it's like, 10 years, you are banished from the land. It's like, why don't we banish the car companies who killed people? I don't understand.
Also, it seems from my research that although it's rare, a U.S. president can veto the decision of the ITC.
That's the hope for ITC, that Biden comes in and vetoes the action?
It did happen under Obama. He overruled the ITC with the whole Apple Samsung thing. So, I mean, that did involve batteries.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Weird. And anyway, speaking of South Korea, Tesla has announced that the Model Y will now be available in South Korea.
Yeah, pricing shows that the Model Y standard range gets in just under the wire for the full Korea EV incentives with 59.99 million won or $54,100. Wait. I think I just figured it out. Remember, Tesla's not selling the standard range in the United States. Maybe they're saving them all up to send them to Korea.
Actually, no.
What?
They've done away with the standard range in Korea.
Oh, so they're not going to get that nice incentive of 19 million won or $17,000?
Yeah, they're not. Basically, if you go to Tesla's website and you go to the Korea page, there's no more standard range. You only have
You'd get a $17,000 tax credit. If you get the long range, you only get a half of that tax credit.
Right. So I don't know why, but that's what Tesla did.
It's got to be coming back.
I don't know what's going on because, why would you come out and be like, South Korea, you can get this standard range, and then be like, just kidding. No.
I mean, because Tesla Korea says it will be installing 27 new Supercharger stations across the country this year, in addition to the 33 already up and running.
And Tesla will be adding 8 more service centers in addition to the 2 that are already there.
And get this, out of the 15,000 EVs imported in South Korea last year, 78% were Teslas. So, haven't got enough SPAC in your life?
But you don't like SPACs!
Well, now Taiga Motors, the Montreal-based startup that was founded in 2015 and makes the Taiga all-electric snowmobile and the Taiga Orca electric jet ski, have decided to join the SPAC club and go public.
Canada Core Genuity Growth 2 Corp, or CGGZ.UN, on the TSX and NEO markets, is the special purpose acquisition company taking Taiga public.
So this deal will raise $100 million Canadian for Taiga. Taiga says with the funds from this transaction, we plan to accelerate our existing production capabilities and execute on our pre-orders while moving full speed ahead with plans for a second mass production facility, which will significantly increase our capacity by 2025.
Taiga is currently taking $500 deposits for its $15,000 electric snowmobile and watercraft, with deliveries scheduled for this fall. The snowmobile has a range of 140 kilometers and can go 0 to 60 in just 2.9 seconds.
So what do you think? Are you going to buy some of the SPAC?
No.
I think there's a reason why companies were supposed to wait until they had revenue before they went to the public markets. Here's a company which hasn't really got the product out yet.
Right.
And so there's a lot of questions that I have in my mind about whether or not... Well, here's my big question. The kind of person who rides a jet ski or snowmobile, I think, for the most part, is not the same person who is like a crunchy hippie person who cares about the environment. So I feel like those two circles don't really cross each other much.
And then there's a third circle of people who can afford a $15,000 snowmobile or jet ski.
Right. I'm a little concerned that Taiga's electric vehicles would have to really blow away the existing ICE market before people would get super interested.
Right. But we'll see how it goes.
And speaking of SPACs, we're going to be having our next Now You Know Investor Club live stream with our special guest, Evannex Rugabor, the President and Chief Strategy Officer of Arrival. That'll be on Tuesday, March 2nd.
You can get more details on our Patreon. Just head over to patreon.com/nowyouknow, and you can even search for NYK Investor Club.
Our Investor Club is now up to 1,300 members. We have an amazing Slack community where we talk about all sorts of investment topics, and we have monthly meetings, and we often have cool guests like presidents and CEOs of companies, and our members get to ask them questions directly. It's really a lot of fun.
According to new data from Experian, Tesla accounted for 79% of U.S. EV registrations in 2020, with 200,561 Teslas registered, a 16% jump from 2019, when owners registered 172,438 Teslas.
Now, here are the top 10 electric cars by sales in the U.S. in 2020.
So right at the top, we got the Model 3, almost 100,000 cars. The Model Y right behind with 71,000.
The Chevy Bolt squeaked in there, number 3.
And then the Model X, which was less than 15 registrations behind the Bolt.
Yep.
Then we have the Model S, surprisingly, 14,400. Nissan Leaf, Audi e-tron, Taycan, Hyundai Kona, and the e-Niro.
Yeah, funny that the S was behind the X. I'm guessing it's because of the refresh. Everyone was kind of waiting for that.
That's true.
So except for Tesla, only Bolt sold above 10,000 units, which I thought was amazing. Also, EV sales were up 11% in 2020. So in 2020, EV sales accounted for 1.8% of the U.S. auto market, up from 1.4% in 2019. Again, a lot of people like, who cares? Those are just less than 2%. But on a growth curve, that means it's going up really fast.
And it's amazing that Tesla was basically carrying that entire 1.8%. The Bolt sold just better than the Model X, which costs over twice as much.
Yeah.
I think that should tell you something.
And speaking of curves that are going up, 2020 was another banner year for renewables in the U.S. According to Bloomberg, NEF, and the Business Council for Sustainable Energy, the U.S. installed 61% more solar and wind than the previous year.
33.6 gigawatts was added to the grid in 2020.
16.5 gigawatts of solar, more than any other year.
Renewables, including hydro, accounted for 20% of electricity generation last year. If you add in nuclear, you get 40% of U.S. electricity was made by non-fossil fuel sources.
Coal dropped to 19%. Natural gas stayed pretty steady at 41%. So this is pretty exciting. All right, it's time for Going Green, brought to you by EcoWare.
If you like the shirts that Zach and I are wearing and you want to check out dozens of other designs, you can head over to ecoware.us.
Now there's a new customer rewards program where you can earn eco points to redeem coupons. You'll earn 100 points when you sign up, 5 points for every $1 you spend. You even get 300 points on your birthday.
And EcoWare still carbon offsets the manufacturing, the shipping, and the life cycle of your purchase. And we plant a tree for every order. And we help cap a well for every order so we can stop abandoned oil wells from spewing methane into the air, which of course is a greenhouse gas.
All right, so the Peel Regional Police Department in Ontario, Canada, want to go green.
They have tested a Ford Interceptor hybrid vehicle, but they want something even cleaner, even greener.
So what does Mark Figueredo, Peel's Director of Materials Management, think? He says when you look at the average police car, 65% of the engine hours are actually spent idling. The days of efficient patrol cars could soon be reality in a city near you and provide quite a surprise when the blue and red lights come on and you realize it's an electric vehicle.
They still have some real-world testing to do, like charging infrastructure, space for police equipment, and battery demand in the cold winters we have in Ontario. So what are they doing?
They're using a loaned Tesla to see if it works in their fleet. Hats off to you, Mark. Help him out. Follow the Peel Regional Police Twitter and give them words and data of encouragement.
And in case you were wondering, Peel is just west of Toronto.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool to see if they can pull that off. That would be a big police district.
Definitely.
All right, into the future.
After a 300 million mile journey, the Perseverance rover landed on the surface of Mars on Thursday, February 18th. Its mission is to collect samples from the Jezero crater, a site that appears to have been a crater sea, fed by a flowing river at one point billions of years ago on Mars. The collected samples will be brought back to Earth in a future mission.
This is exciting. I mean, because if these samples show that there was life on Mars at any point in its history, it would mean that life might be more prevalent throughout the galaxy, meaning intelligent life might exist in our galaxy.
So good luck to the Perseverance team. Congratulations on the successful landing. This is the second time that they've used the sky crane, which is very SpaceX-y. You have the parachute pop out, then you have the capsule. Then from the capsule emerges the sky crane. So it's got the rover in tow. It fires retro rockets. It almost lands, it brings it down to a hover, and then it winches down the rover,
so
sits
cool.
it down on the surface, detaches, flies away. It's fantastic. I don't know why I did anything with my hands because we actually have really good animations. And we're going to be seeing lots of pictures and data coming in from this rover. It's so exciting to have an eye into what Mars looks like.
Our future home. All right, it's time for sunspots. So designer Henry Gloga has developed a way to make salt water drinkable for low-income people living near the ocean.
It uses clean solar energy.
This solar desalination skylight is a finalist for the 2021 Lexus Design Award.
Wait, so what is this?
So here we're looking at a roof in Misiones, Chile. They don't have access to running water, and they have to pay a high price for water to be trucked in trucks. This solar desalinator skylight gets installed like a regular skylight in the roof, but instead of just letting in sunlight, this also takes the sun's energy and evaporates salty seawater and condenses it into drinkable water. And then the salt left behind charges the salt battery to make light at night. So it solves a whole bunch of problems, all really cheaply.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
That is really cool.
You just hand pump the water, and then it just drips down into a cup. I know this isn't a solar story, although the sun does make the wind, but I came across this really cool website. Thank you to Daryl. This is the USGS US Wind Turbine Database. It's really cool. You can zoom in for more info about a wind farm at the turbine level. Now, it's only for the US. Didn't work for the rest of the world, but we'll put the link down below if you want to just kind of zoom around and see where all the wind turbines are in the country.
Very cool.
All right, it's time for our video contributor stories. What do we got this week?
We have our buddy Tolek, and he's showing us those chargers that we talked about just last week. Let's check it out.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. Tolek at Charge Positive from San Diego. Wanted to share a little bit more about the Electrify America solar stations that you featured on Tesla Time News this week. They're made by Beam for All in San Diego, California, formerly known as Envision Solar. It's a great system, has solar that tracks the sun throughout the day, stores the power in batteries. They can also be used for emergency situations with extra outlets up there at the top. It sits on a steel plate that keeps it anchored during even hurricane winds. They can make it with 2 level 2 chargers of your choice. In this case, Electrify America ordered 2 of their level 2 stations. I believe these are the same ones you can order for your house. All right. But you can get any brand you want when you order from Beam for All in San Diego. A little bonus here, we have a RAV4 Prime. First one I've seen in the public. Getting some sun, getting some miles from our sort of low afternoon sun here. Also a Model 3, getting some free charging, Electrify America and Beam for All. And now you know.
You know, it's interesting. We got a bunch of emails from people that said, "No, Zach and Jesse, that does not work. They will fly away in the wind. You have to bolt them down." So are they bolted down? Because I don't see any bolts.
They're not bolted down. It's that steel
that
plate.
That will not work. I mean, I assume they've engineered it, and it must be approved by some,
There's lots of things that don't fly away in the wind.
UL listed or something, because otherwise it would just, it would topple over. Now, does that track the sun?
It does actually. Now it doesn't point directly at the sun at all times, but it does do a little
left right action,
tilty, which is perfect, especially if you have it on a southern exposure.
It's so cool to see it in action. I hope these pop up everywhere. That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for the Patreon bonus stories, and we've got a really touching story this week that you're not going to want to miss. And we also have Bill Burr talking about Teslas. Wow, we're back from another good Patreon bonus stories. It's time for our Patreon shout-outs. Who do we got this week, Jess?
We've got Dom D,
David Pruitt,
Tim Carrion, Alexis and Corey Mosher,
Mario Acosta,
Jacob Hickerson,
Wayne Christian,
Daniel Hukas,
Brad Gibson,
Miguel Angel Ortiz,
Shoeless Tim,
Kent Anderson,
Jean-Pierre Benoit,
Bennett Bengurter,
Stephen Hurst,
Furman Ali Torres,
Wolfgang Priere,
Alpha JSG,
Jamie Van S,
James Morin,
and Tim French.
Thank you so much for supporting this channel. We can't do it without you.
All right, it's time for Elon's tweets of the week, and this says, "Kevin, I'm dying. Please stop beatboxing." That's just some Elon humor for you.
He's 12 years old.
He is.
In
most of his tweets.
Yeah.
Rockstar Denied said maybe Elon and SpaceX can send volunteers and or donations to help the turtles on their neighboring Boca Chica beach. And Elon said,
SpaceX Boca team is helping save the turtles.
And then Elon said, ERCOT ISO is not earning that R. And what does the R stand for in ERCOT?
It stands for responsibility.
And then Pankaj says, hey, Elon, is this possible in Texas?
And he's talking about the big battery pack that could back up the grid. And Elon said yes.
And then Teslarati said snow is a rare sight in Texas, but when it caused trouble in the Lone Star State, Tesla came to the rescue.
Elon said SpaceX in South Texas and Tesla in Central have been providing direct assistance where feasible. They're saving cold turtles, and they're helping power a water treatment plant. He said, please let us know if we may be helpful in other ways.
And then Bloomberg tweeted, I'm surprised that Elon's so gung-ho on Dogecoin, says Changpeng Zhao, who's CEO of Binance. And Elon said,
Tesla's action is not directly reflective of my opinion. Having some Bitcoin, which is simply a less dumb form of liquidity than cash, is adventurous enough for an S&P 500 company.
Went on to say, to be clear, I'm not an investor. I'm an engineer. I don't even own any publicly traded stock besides Tesla. However, when fiat currency has negative real interest, only a fool wouldn't look elsewhere. Bitcoin is almost as BS as fiat money. The key word is almost.
So what's fiat money? Is this a new Bitcoin put out by fiat?
No, this is just regular old paper money.
Oh, it's paper money that's not tied to like gold or something.
Right. And then P-Bitty said, why is Bitcoin BS at all? Too orange?
Elon said somehow a hash text file using ancient crypto can be exchanged for real goods and services. Amazing.
Peter Schiff said, according to Elon, Bitcoin is almost as BS as fiat money. So Musk regards both Bitcoin and fiat as BS. I agree. I just think Bitcoin, which is digital fiat, is even more BS than the paper fiat issued by central banks. Gold is not BS. It's real money and better than both.
Elon said, an email saying you have gold is not the same as having gold. You may as well have crypto. Money is just data that allows us to avoid the inconvenience of barter. That data, like all data, is subject to latency and error. The system will evolve to that which minimizes both. So it's interesting because like you might say like, well, gold is the thing to buy. And it's like, unless you're buying gold bars of it that you have on your possession in the case of something bad happening, even then it's like, oh, hey, I want some food. Here's some gold. It's like, yeah, the world's over, dude. I'm going to shoot you because we need water.
And Elon said, that said, Bitcoin and Ethereum do seem high, LOL. And speaking of which, Tesla has likely made over $600 million since investing its $1.5 billion in Bitcoin last month. That would be a 480% annualized return.
So that was a good investment, I guess. Elon said, I just set up some little Doge mining rigs with my kids. It was fun.
And then Pranay said, what GPU are you using? Share some specs of your rig.
Elon said, just use some Antminer L3 Plus rigs bought off eBay. Not really economic, but it was a fun family project. So they're mining Dogecoin.
Daddy, can we mine some more Dogecoin? And then Babylon B said, Elon Musk rescues Texans with giant flamethrower mech.
Elon says, why don't we have these already?
Why don't you, Elon?
That's a good question.
What would it be called? Not a mech?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it seems like once he gets to Mars, he's going to be able to focus on more fun stuff like mech warrior fighting on Mars. I think that's like the premise of the Mech Warrior franchise.
Perfect.
Yeah, you can see how big a nerd I am. All right, let's go to the poll. We asked, would you supercharge at a specific time if Tesla incentivized pricing?
Oh, pretty narrow margins here.
Well, if you think about it in that sense, but think about it in another. So 188 people said, I would go out of my way for cheaper electricity, and 210 people said that they would not change their plans in the slightest.
Oh, but you're right. Those 188 people are going to change. We took them out of the prime slot time and moved them to a better time.
Right. And this helps with total charge capacity because if you have peak times, that's bad. So Tesla being able to move even 188 people to charging at a different time would be helpful.
All right, it's time for Community Mail Time. Community Mail Time. So this is Royce's mom's Model Y. The Model 3 is called Silent But Deadly, and the Model Y is called Great Snow Leopard. And I love this license plate, Battery Love. Royce says that the Model Y has the new console and was delivered on the 13th of February. So I guess...
up-to-date information.
We've got your information for you. This is our friend Alberto. He's in front of the plant Vogtle in Waynesboro, Georgia. So nuclear-powered Tesla, I guess.
So did you know that EcoWare.us has little baby onesies?
I did. They're really cute.
So if you send us in some pictures of your cute babies, we might be sending out some cute onesie.
Yeah, if we use your photo on the show, we'll be sending you out a onesie from EcoWare.
And our buddy Matt was down in Noonan, Georgia, which is just south of Atlanta, at the site of the soon-to-be 8-stall Supercharger. And according to supercharge.info, it's only been under construction for 27 days.
That's cool. I love to see what's going on.
A little prequel.
And then Green sent this in, and we wanted to make sure you knew about this. Green says, it pains me to post this, but if you used awesome battery of your Tesla car to keep the lights on in time of need, do not brag about it on social media. It is a warranty voiding activity, like whole car warranty voiding. Also, don't connect to the 12-volt battery directly, connect to the penthouse.
And don't just not brag about it. Don't do it. It actually isn't designed to be done on your car.
Yeah, you might be thinking of an ICE car where you hook up to the 12-volt battery, the alternator keeps it charged, but on a Tesla, there's not a very powerful DC to DC converter. It's only meant to kind of trickle charge the 12-volt battery, so while you're drawing massive current through that battery, it won't be able to keep up and you'll do some damage somewhere. All right, it's time for Supercharger reviews, and these are sponsored by our friends at Evannex, the Tesla community's accessory store. If you're looking for awesome accessories for your Tesla, check out Evannex and use our discount code nowyouknow to save you $10 on purchases over $100.
Hey world, welcome back. Jessica Kirsch here. I am coming to you from the Agua Fria Freeway Supercharger in North Phoenix, Arizona. This supercharger is huge. It's got 16 stalls open, and as you can see, it's not very populated right now. I have been here before when half of it was full, but I've never seen it all the way full. This is the main supercharger on this side of town. We're heading north out of Phoenix towards Flagstaff or Sedona or towards the Grand Canyon. This is the last supercharger that you will have before leaving Phoenix city limits. I would give this probably a 9 out of 10, only because the ability to get to this supercharger, navigating through this parking lot, is tough. This is a very populated shopping center, and so it's very hectic. I always feel like I'm kind of like fighting for my life when I drive through here, and it's just very aggressive, especially after work hours and such. But it's a nice, well-lit supercharger and 16 stalls.
Hello, Zach and Jesse. Today we're going to be reviewing the Supercharger at the Aventura Mall in Aventura, Florida. The Supercharger stations were relatively easy to find and they looked pretty well maintained. This location has 35 Superchargers that are up to 72 kilowatts. This Supercharger station is conveniently located in a mall, so you can go dining, you can go shopping, or you can watch a movie while your Tesla is charging. Our award for the sexiest Tesla goes to this Model X that we saw. This is the charge that we got while connected to the charger. Most important of all, this location received sexy status. Overall, we would give this location 8 out of 10. Now you know.
Hi Zach and Jesse, this is Tom reporting from Collingwood, Ontario. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10 before I even speak. I've been waiting for this for 2 years now. Anyway, it's an 8-stall. It says it's 250 kilowatt, but this is a godsend. It's right in the middle of Ontario's winter playground. There's skiing at Blue Mountains, about 5 miles away, 6 miles away. And this is the central hub of Canada's winter.
Hey Zach and Jesse, this is a new 8-stall here in Marianna, Florida. These are all level 3 chargers. We have 8 chargers. We have a Dairy Queen, McDonald's, a truck stop, and the sod has just now been laid. It's very new. Now you know.
Hey Zach and Jesse, Eric here at the brand new 250 kilowatt 16 stall supercharger in Davis, California. As you can see, nobody's here. Good location right off the I-80 corridor. We need more superchargers here. It connects the Bay Area with Sacramento and beyond. Overall, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Yeah, now you know.
Wow. I love supercharger reviews. I love seeing real people's reactions to real superchargers in the real world.
I do too. All right, now I wanted to update everyone on some information I found out from our friend Charles, who works on the supercharge.info team, the site where we get all of this awesome supercharger info. It turns out about a year and a half ago, Tesla stopped adding Chinese locations to their website map and feed. And since almost all the Chinese supercharger locations come from that feed, that means they stopped appearing on supercharge.info. However, about a month ago, Tesla synced up their Chinese data with the rest of the world, and all of their superchargers appeared.
And so we're going to have to catch back up, I guess. We're going to be reading. So, but let's do the new superchargers this week, and then we'll catch up on the Chinese superchargers.
Is that a good idea?
Oh, it'll be fine. All right, let's go. The first new supercharger is the 12-stall version 3 in Rome, West, Italy.
The 8-stall version 3 in Crestview, Florida.
The 4-stall 120 kilowatt in Salin, Sweden.
All right, so now we're going to the Chinese ones
now
to try and catch up?
Yeah.
Because I think you might...
No, it's fine. The 6-stall version 3 in Changzhi at the Sports Center in China.
Okay, the 6-stall 120 kilowatt in Jiangyang, Laohaku, China.
The 6-stall 120 in Huilei Jinli International Hotel, China.
Did you look at the list?
What? What? I mean, we're almost done, right?
There's about 400 more.
Oh.
It's been a year and a half.
400 superchargers, you say?
Yeah. We're not going through them now. There's just no possible way.
And I've checked our analytics. We don't have that many viewers from China. If you are in China and you wished to know, you should head over to supercharge.info because we can't spend an hour mispronouncing Chinese names.
Right. But thank you to our friends over at supercharge.info because they've done all of this hard work and all of this data is there. It's time for the Patreon giveaway.
Yes.
And if you want to get into this big barrel of fun, join us on Patreon. And the more you support us, the more chances you get. We're giving away a gift card to EcoWare so that you can pick out whatever you like.
Nice. The winner is Ranbir.
Ranbir, congratulations. You just won yourself some EcoWare stuff where we carbon offset the life cycle, the transportation, the making, the manufacturing, everything. And then we plant a tree and then we cap a well. What don't we do?
Yeah, when Bobby and Brent started this company over 2 years ago, they really wanted to do good. And, you joined the company and have really been working to make this company do as much good as possible while also doing more good by starting conversations with people that are going to get, we have lots of, I don't want to say provocative shirts, but they're going to get a conversation started of like, why is there a Starman on your
Exactly.
shirt?
I think that's the goodest part of it is like we're so used to branding ourselves with some other brand like, Nike. And it's like, okay, great. But what does that mean?
Right.
It's like, whereas you put something like this on your shirt and someone's like,
What's a Model Y?
What's a Model Y?
I was at the grocery store the other day, and I had a Starman shirt on my body, and at checkout, the lady was like, "What's Starman?" And I was like, "Oh, it's this. They've shot a rocket in space, and there's a guy in the car." And she's like, "Oh, so it's like a TV show?" I'm like, "No, it really happened. Like, there's a car out in space right now." And she's like,
"How do people still not know this?"
I don't know. It's so frustrating. So yeah, I mean, I brightened her day because she was like, "They really did that? That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. I'm going to go tell people." I'm like, "Yeah." And you're like a year and a half late, lady. Like, I'm really sorry, but like, I don't know why this information didn't reach you.
I know.
There's so many different things that we wanted to convey through these shirts.
Well, I mean, think of how many people don't know what a Model Y is yet.
Exactly.
You'll be telling people about this. Wait, so I can get... Because most people still think, Tesla, that's a really expensive luxury car.
Right. And it's like, are you kidding me? You can now get a Model 3 for almost $35,000. I mean, we're getting close for the Standard Range Plus. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Tesla Time News.
If you're still with us here at the end, please subscribe and hit the like button if you haven't already. It really helps us out.
And write a comment. All this stuff, it's called engagement. And the algorithm loves engagement. They love it when you like the video and leave a comment. And what that does is it shares it with other people around the world just randomly because they're like, well, this guy is interested in this and that. And if he watches a video about solar, maybe this person would be interested in Tesla Time News. And maybe that guy really would be. He wouldn't see it unless you wrote that comment, liked the video, hit the subscribe button. I don't like telling you to do this stuff. It's just, I know that it works.
Exactly. And if we're going to make a change, this is how we do it.
All right. So go run for Congress. We'll see you next week. Now you know.